Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm your host, Dr. Haider Shah. On behalf of Calvas, I would like to welcome all of you to this webinar. Thank you very much for joining us. Today we have another very interesting topic, and I'm really honored to welcome and introduce our distinguished guest speaker who is going to talk about mastering the academic databases, a hands-on guide to navigate Web of Science, ACI, and Scopus databases. So today we will equip you with the skills and knowledge needed to efficiently explore these essential academic resources, enhancing your research capabilities and ensuring you can access and utilize the wealth of information they offer. So indeed, very interesting topic, and I'm sure you will learn a lot from this session as we have an expert with us in today's this session. So stay tuned because in amazing stuff are coming ahead in this session. So before we start, I would like to thank Kalwas for arranging such enlightenment sessions, for their support and providing us such a wonderful platform. The aim of Calvas is to give you the opportunity to connect and interact with world renowned speakers, academic leaders, teachers, authors, researchers, experts, professionals, and businessmen to learn from their experiences, recommendations, and suggestions, which will create an impact and will enable you to learn and develop yourself in order to grow and transform individually as well as to contribute to the world in a positive way. As our slogan is come, learn, and share knowledge. So today we have an amazing person as guest. We have invited him for multiple times, and he is great enough that he always give his precious time to share his knowledge and wisdom. He is the author, he's the editor, he is the speaker, he's a well-renowned person in the academia as well as industry. So without further ado, please help me in welcoming our guest, Professor Dr. FROILAN MOBO. Welcome to the Calvas platform once again, and thank you very much for joining us, Prof.
Yes, thank you for inviting me again, Dr. Shah. So, this is a wonderful opportunity for me, of course, to share my knowledge, especially in the research and competitions to the research community. So, with that, thank you for inviting me for this wonderful sessions, and I hope that the research community will be able to learn a lot with this topic that I'm going to discuss for tonight's session.
Thank you so much once again, and over to you, Prof. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, for tonight's session, I will be able to discuss about the Mastering Academic Database. This is a hands-on guide to navigating Web of Science, the Scopus, and ACI. This is a very interesting part because a lot of researchers and authors really looking forward on how we will be able to navigate in the terms of the publications in this uh, highly indexed databases, especially in the part of the database in the research part. So for the introduction, of course, the importance of the academic databases in the research goals, especially like Web of Science, the Scopus in the Science Citation Index or ACI, are essential tools for researchers and authors because this will provide access to vast array of scholarly articles, conference papers, and other academic resources, especially, of course, here in the Philippines, in the state universities, colleges, and even in the private university, they're really looking forward in these highly recognized databases because part of that, this also help, of course, in terms of their ranking for the professorial accreditation in other areas. So, of course, the purpose of this is to equip, of course, participants with the skills to effectively how to navigate and utilize the databases in the Web of Science and Scopus and ACI for research purposes, and how we will be able to ensure that our papers will be indexed, especially in this kind of database, especially in the Scopus database. So part of that, let's start the overview of the Web of Science was the background, of course. The database, of course, it's a multidisciplinary citation database which is established by the Peribit Analytics. So it covers a variety of 33,000 journals covering sciences, social sciences, arts, and humanities, which will be able to include a lot of journals. Of course, we also have book chapters and also books, which could be able to help a lot of researchers in publishing in the domain of Web of Science or Clarabits. So it's very important that we should be able to know if a particular journal is really indexed on that part using this kind of database. So part of that, when we navigate in the Web of Science environment, for example, how to access on that is should we would be able to have uh, basic search techniques through institutional subscription or personal accounts. For example, using keywords related to your research topics, just like looking for particular keywords, a multidisciplinary topic focused on social science, or the author search name, you would be able to look for that, or the publication name search, searching for articles within the specific journal. For example, just like what we have this example, you would be able to refine your search article by using those, of course, those, it can either be the author's name, the journal name, or the article's name or itself. You will be able to know that within this database, you'll be able to check if their articles is in index in this database or if the journal is still active or been discontinued. So part of this is the easiest way on how you will be able to navigate and check the status of a particular journal or book if it's really indexed or included in the database of the Claribit Analytics. So this is very important part, just like the same with the Google Scholar, that we could be able to refine our search. We could be able to check on the citations, of course, on the author's profile, everything, if they really have uh, an article published or indexed in the Web of Science. Another, of course, we could be able to widen the advanced search techniques by using a lot of Boolean operators. For example, you can use AND operators or not to refine searches. Part of that, you can also use field tags such as we could be able to do just like what I mentioned a while ago. We can use the title, the abstract, or keywords, and then we could be able to filter the results by checking the publication year, the document of type, whether it's a conference proceeding, a book of abstract, or a journal, and more. And then, of course, you could be able to view the number of citation metrics and trends of a particular author or journal based on the database that I have shown a while ago, just like this one. Okay, so it's very important that we should be able to be familiarized, for example, a basic search of a particular journal with the Web of Science. So if you are familiar with navigating in the Web of Science, it's easier for us to use or navigate in different platforms. For example, in ACI citations or in Scopus, it's almost the same. Then, when we export or managing references, just like, for example, the EndNote or Mendeley, because it's very important, for example, in the publisher side, if the citation has been exported in this database, it's easier for us to uh, include the citation per se when we publish an article, because a lot of publishers are really using this kind of citation referencing style. For example, Basic is using an EndNote or a Mendeley or a basic MS Word platform, which can include a lot of export of or managing references, which will be at the end of that, when we use the in-text citation, it can easily be checked if the references are really authentic enough, especially that a lot of uh, databases right now or Web of Science, they really prefer to have citations coming from these databases. And it will really help if we use this kind of export citation using this kind of databases such as EndNote or Mendeley, or should I say using MS Word uh, application. So for the part of the overview of the Scopus, of course, Scopus is almost the same with Web of Science. Part of that, it has a comprehensive abstract and citation database owned by Elsevier. Take note of that, which coverage encompasses over 25,000 titles from various disciplines. Part of that is a multidisciplinary, whether it's an engineering to social science. So when we navigate Scopus, it's through institutional or personal subscription. So it's easier for us to be aware. For example, just like what we are doing in the IGI publishing, once you publish a book chapter or an article, it will automatically create a Scopus account coming from your end using your or receipt number or your email account, which you have used registered in your published articles, which has been indexed in the Scopus. For example, this basic search techniques that I've shown to you on screen, if you can easily track down if an author has published articles in Scopus or a journal. So by using this kind of search database, you would be able to distinguish whether an author has published recently his or her article in the Scopus index database, or if the journal has been discontinued, you could easily check if the last date of their uploaded documents from the Scopus is, for example, 2 years ago. You would be able to determine if the journal has been discontinued from the Scopus indexing part. So it's easier for us to check by using this kind of database techniques to validate if the journal or author has publications from the Scopus database, of course. So advanced search techniques, just like what I have discussed a while ago in the Web of Science, you could also use field codes like this one, the title, the abstract key for precise searches, or Boolean operators enhancing search techniques, for example, using and or not. So those techniques, when you use that, is basically if they uh, index a particular topic, it will easier for us to search for a particular topic using this kind of particular techniques. Of course, analyzing search results, for example, you can check that by year, the document type, and the subject area. This would be able to facilitate easier viewing of citation in a number of referencing style, especially when we export and managing references. It's easier for us to look for the status of a journal, whether that is been discontinued or if the author has a published article, especially if the article has been published recently. Just like on my part in the Scopus profile, for example, if the IGI published its article this month, and you have to wait for another month. So it's almost 1 month that it will be able to reflect on the Scopus database itself. And then for the overview of the ASEAN Citation Index, which is this is a regional citation index, which is to aim to improve the visibility of ASEAN researches within the Asia countries publication from Philippines, Indonesia, and other Asian countries member for this kind of publication part. So it includes journal published within ASEAN member countries on that part. So when we navigate on the ACI, it has an official website which is the ASEANcitation.org. So it's very important that this is almost the same with the level of Scopus and Web of Science. So basic search techniques, of course, you can search by relevant keywords. For instance, you're looking for a educational technologies or a keyword on artificial intelligence, you can easily look on that. And you can also use the journal search within the specific Asian journals. Or just like what we're doing in the Scopus, you can also use the author search. And then navigating search techniques, you can do filtering options by subject area, country, and journal. And you could be able to check the citation metrics, which is the number of citations by year, and of course the metrics by each index. So this is an example of the ASEAN citation database that we could be able to navigate and check the referencing number of published articles and if it's still been active or been discontinued. So just like what I've shown on the screen, you will be able to see that some of the journals are still active, some of the journals are being discontinued because of some reasons which is being checked and been audited by the Science Citation Group. Of course, same with the Web of Science and Scopus. They can also export and manage references for the easiest way, just like this one. For example, if a particular publishers or journal is been discontinued, there's a reason maybe on the part of the referencing style because these databases are really strict in terms of referencing style. If the journal is using APA 7th edition, of course, they're really checking if they're following the standards based on the criteria which is being set by the Science Citation uh, Committee. Of course, These are the following references from the Web of Science, from the Scopus, from the Science Citations, and other general references that you could be able to look for. So on that part, that would be all discussing about navigating, mastering the part of uh, the techniques on how you will be able to check the database on on the part of the Web of Science, the Scopus, and the science citation. So this is a topic where it can discuss many factors and many things on how you would be able to uh, navigate and use those searching techniques using keywords, Boolean operators such as and or not, on how you will be able to look the easiest way and to validate if the journal is already belong to the predatory list. So it's very important that you will be able to know this kind of techniques and tips on how you will be able to look and check and validate everything. So with that, thank you for inviting me, and that would be all on my part. Thank you, Dr. Shah.
Thank you very much, Dr. FROILAN MOBO. It was very comprehensive and brief session, and I like the way you just mentioned not only through the text that what are the journals, what are the predatory journals. You also showed the sample of it, and I think that was a wonderful thing for our audience that they could learn that how can we identify whether the journal has been delisted or not. Sometimes what happens is that previously it is Scopus index, for example, and after some time it has been delisted, but most of the time the beginner researcher, they are not aware of it. So what they can do, they can go to the Scopus database, they can write about the journal, and they will come to know whether currently it exists in the list or not. I think that's very important because sometimes we need to submit the paper and have a acceptance for a completion. That's the part of the degree completion. But if the journal doesn't exist on the database, for example, Web of Science or Scopus or ACI, so definitely the paper will go waste and it will not be counted for a degree completion. So I think that's very important. And thank you very much for making it very easy for our audience to learn about it and to do how can they find out about the journals. And particularly nowadays the big problem is the predatory journals, and very rightly you have talked about the predatory journals because there are vested interests behind the predatory journals, but we need to avoid the predatory journals. Thank you. And now some of the questions are waiting for your illustration and examples. So first question, as you can see on your screen, that what are the most useful features of each database for conducting literature review? When we are going for the literature review, so which database do you recommend and how? Yes, please.
Actually, on my part as an experienced researcher, all of them, because for example, uh, the Web of Science, the Scopus, and the ACI, especially if the author really wants to look for an authentic literature review on that part, especially if it's aligned on their topic, the most preferred, of course, database would be those three databases, the Scopus, the Web of Science, and of course the ACI citations, because part of that, it is a win-win both part for the authors and for the publisher, because once you have used those three databases, three major databases, it will help, it will increase the number of citations both for the authors, which is beneficial on us, and also for the publisher, because one of the requirement, of course, for the journal to get indexed with those three major databases is to earn number of citations, specifically on the data on the Web of Science, the Scopus, and to the ASEAN citation, just like what we're doing in my journal, in the International Journal of Multidisciplinary Applied Business and Education Research, is we require, of course, author, or we tell them as much as possible, you should be able to use these three major database in conducting literature review, because this is really authentic in terms of using those references, and you will be able to filter out that these things are really do not belong to the predatory list. Because in Google Scholar, if you're going to use that, you might not be able to monitor to check if the journal really been belongs to our predatory uh, list. But in this kind of situation, I think most of the highly indexed journal are really belong to 100% index in Scopus. So that would be all. That would be all, sir.
Yeah. Thank you very much for explanation. I think you are very right, and we need to find out about that. What are the predatory journals and how can we find about it, and particularly literature review as well. So, doing a literature review while conducting the literature review, you must see that which database you follow, and you very rightly pointed out that matters a lot because the good journals, the good citation will give you the good references and good content as well. So if you go for a literature review, so definitely from a good database, you will get the good research, quality research articles, and definitely that content will help you to understand the topic in a proper way and in-depth manner. So very nice, sir. And now, since you are the editor and you have your own special call for book as well in the IGI Global Publisher, which is a renowned book publisher. So you are an editor and you are the author, you are the researcher by yourself. Now, another very interesting question which is relevant to this one. So, how would you respond to this question, please? The question is, what are some common challenges users face when navigating these databases and how can they be overcome? So, you have a multifaceted experiences regarding the as author, researcher, and editor by yourself as well. So, please, your suggestion, what problems you faced and how did you overcome, and what is your suggestion for the audience? Yes, please.
I think the common challenges that other authors doesn't understand is the number of days. For example, when they say that the indexing will take immediately, always explain to them that it will not reflect easily because once you publish an article, for example, in our case in IGI, we know that if they publish the article today, you have to wait for 1 month so that it will reflect to the Scopus database. So those are the common challenges that they do not understand because when they publish an article, they always expect that the article will be able to reflect in the Scopus. I always tell them that it's a mandatory or SOP that they should be able to wait for a 1 month because that's the standard operational procedure that on the part of reputable journal or publishers, the process that they have to check all aspects, especially that IGI, for example, is a good publisher, is well renowned that we are aware that part of the indexing will take almost 1 month to reflect on the database of the Scopus. And those are the good things that they really strict in terms of compliances, in terms of other things. And I always tell the authors that you should be able to wait. Some of them do not understand the right process of reputability. So I always mention to them that it is proper to wait for them, especially that we know that the peer review process, especially if the journalist or the book chapters index with this highly recognized database, it will take quite some time. Even if it will take 1 year to get published, it's still okay because it means that the more that it's getting longer, the more it's really a reputable process. Just like what we're doing in IGI, it will take almost 6 months or 7 months. It depends on the number of peer review process, of the checking, and I think it's a good way on how to check and ensure the validity and credibility of the particular best practices of the research publication per se, especially in the indexing that it would take 1 month for Scopus to reflect on the Scopus database. And as I think in the Web of Science, it will take almost a year to reflect on the database itself. So those are the common challenges because these authors are not really aware that these are the common standards that we should be aware that they should have to wait patiently if they really want to publish a good article in highly recognized book chapter or a publisher, just like what we have, sir.
Very nice, and thank you very much for your elaboration and explaining it very well. And I think you are very right. Sometimes we are not aware of the process that it's going to take a long time. And the good databases definitely they just go through the proper review process, the double blind review, the triple blind review process. So definitely it is going to take time, and mostly people are not aware of it, and they get disheartened that why it is taking too long time, and particularly for the book chapters it takes more than even sometimes the journal article. So I think these are the different issues the beginner researcher face, but later on with the passage of time we understand the process, and then we get familiarized with it. So thank you very much once again for such a wonderful session once again with us, as it was expected that you are going to share a wonderful content and you will be presenting in a wonderful way. As you know, you remained a popular guest speaker on this Calvas platform. So, what is your message this time to the world as a speaker, author, teacher, researcher, trainer, learner, and educator? Yes, please.
Of course, on that part, just continue doing our advocacy, doing research, and of course, always be honest enough to share what is needed to share your experience in our research community. It's really uh, on my part, I'm happy when I'm sharing my knowledge, especially in the research community, and I think that's the best thing that I would like to be proud of. That helping others in how we conduct the proper process of doing research is really a good part in helping them, especially in uh, getting aware of what is really need to be aware of.
Wow. Thank you very much. Wonderful message to the world. We should help each other and we should be sharing the knowledge. And that's our slogan is what that come, learn and share knowledge. The more you share the knowledge, definitely the more it is going to benefit most of the people. And we want this planet to be more good place to live and to have a wonderful experience over there. So thank you once again, and to the audience, do follow our distinguished guest speaker through his research work, and you can email him for future learning and guidance. He is very generous and always ready to help the people. So that's all we have time for today, and thank you once again, Professor Dr. Purnand Mobu, for your wonderful presentation and wonderful content. And I would like to thank our audience who joined us. If you have any additional questions about information shared today, please email us or connect to the speaker directly through his email or social media. Thank you all for your support and liking our sessions. Stay tuned as many sessions are on the way. Please do not miss any session. At the next session, take care of yourself.